Welcome back to Bachelor Nation's favorite podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe here and follow us on Instagram at E&G Podcast. Available now are previous episodes with Bachelor favorites including Luke Pell, Ashley Iaconetti, Robbie Hayes, Leah Block, and much more. Plus, this season with Nick, we're bringing you weekly recaps, Bachelorette interviews, and exclusive offers from friends of the podcast. Thanks for listening.
You at E&G, you guys are getting out there, man. You guys are diligent.
I'd say with Lace, it's dicks over chicks, 100% of the time.
I wanted her to be happy, and what choice that was up to her.
I'm busy. I'm in it to win it. I just love them. They're so fun.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Ian.
Today's episode of the E&G podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine Bachelor and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to Animal Rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Vale are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
Welcome back to the E&G podcast. What's it time for? Another special edition interview. Back on the podcast, we had the one and the only Ashley Iaconetti. Ashley Ian. So much fun talking to Ashley again. We love Ashley on the pod.
We definitely do. Ashley is a friend of the podcast, right? And so we did not get into any of her kind of history with the Bachelor franchise and her seasons and appearances because we already did that. So definitely go and check out that episode if you haven't listened to that yet. On this episode, we really focused on what's been going down with Nick. Ashley, of course, is friends with Nick, but Nick does not kiss and tell. So she is even in the dark on this. So it was a lot of kind of predictions. We're all watching the show together. And she also was able to shine some light, I felt like, which was very interesting, on this upcoming Women Tell All special, right? Like how that actually is filmed and what's actually happening versus what we're seeing. And she had some fresh takes on all the women. So as always, it was a great time chatting with Ashley.
Great time with Ashley. We got to talk a little bit about her parents who are fans of our podcast after the first time she did it. And we talked all Bachelor stuff and her takes and everything. And I'd say like the last 5-10 minutes, it gets really, really fun. Because
5 to 10 minutes was good, but we asked her about her dating history or what's going on right now, right? And maybe what could be happening between her and Wells and something there. So, we'll tease it by saying that. So it was good. It's definitely, you guys are going to enjoy this listen a lot.
Hello.
Ashley Iaconetti, welcome back.
Hi. Thank you for having me back.
Of course.
Yes.
Anytime.
We're super excited. And Ashley, before we even get into this, I'm pretty sure I just saw that you got a chance to be near the stage and meet Backstreet Boys in Vegas. You took a picture with Nick Carter on your Instagram. I am so jealous. How was that?
Oh, well, actually, I met them in October when they filmed Nick's date with the Backstreet Boys. I got to go and get sung to on stage. And I got to meet them in a meet and greet beforehand. But I was super excited. We got to hang out with them and their wives in their booth area after the show. And Nick came up to me and Amanda, and he was like, I want to talk to you guys. I was like, stop.
Nick Carter, good guy. Wait, so just to clarify, you were on stage getting serenaded? Is that what you just said?
That's what happened in October, yeah. Before Nick Girls came out, Becca and I went on stage and we got serenaded. And it was awesome because they sang Get Another Boyfriend instead of like a mushy song. It was really just hilarious.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Well, dang. So, Ashley, you've been killing it with all of your recaps. I feel like every week you're all over the place, all over the TV and the internet and the social media. What is your biggest takeaway thus far on Nick? Like, if you had to give him a grade, how do you think he's been doing as the Bachelor?
I think he's been doing great. I think the biggest complaint that I've heard from most fans is that at this point, top 3, we still don't really feel him connecting to somebody strong enough so that he could propose in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be a thing. And I didn't watch him on those other seasons of The Bachelorette, but everyone keeps saying that he had a stronger connection with Caitlyn and Andi. And then when Andi came to surprise him, which was, I guess we won't get into how staged that looked, but when she came to surprise him in his suite, it seemed like he was still kind of into her.
I definitely thought there was some sort of chemistry there. I thought that I felt more fire between the two of them in that moment that I felt most of the season.
Exactly.
Right. Like, imagine if Nick had chosen one of the girls already and it was over, and then he bumped into Andi on the street and he got those same like googly eyes. That girl that he'd be with would be like, "What's up? Are you still like into your ex? What's happening?"
No, the two of them aren't into each other technically at all, but I just feel like there is some like underlayer sexual tension still there.
Right. By the way, underlying sexual tension, before we keep going with Nick, what's up with you and Jared? Huh? Is that ever going to happen? You guys just best friends?
That's something you talk to Jared about, but no, right now we are just really good friends.
So talk to Jared about it, as in you're still on board you think Jared's the best ever, right?
Oh, Jared is the best ever. I just think that you can't say what's going to happen in your future. So that's what I'm saying. We're best friends and that's all.
We have not talked to Jared yet. We'd love to, but I just want to throw it out there. We have talked to a guy named Luke. Have you met Luke? Because he's my best ever.
He's your best ever? Yes, I've met Luke multiple times. We'll be seeing each other tomorrow at the iHeart Music Awards.
Okay. All right. Well, back to next season of The Bachelor, I guess. I just wanted to clear up what's going on with you and Jared.
Just friends. There's no more craziness going on there.
Okay. About Nick's season, what do you think about the Rachel storyline? Obviously, they announced that she's the Bachelorette, and I think everybody kind of assumed, oh, well, that's a spoiler, so next episode she's going home, and then she didn't go home, and then she didn't go home again. How do you think that's going to play out? If you know, obviously don't say it, but how do you think it's going to play out? Is she going to be in the top 2, and it's going to be some crazy dramatic twist? Is she going to go home next? Because that would be weird if she was in the top 2, and we know that she ends up as the Bachelorette. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I don't actually know anything. Nick's very secretive. He doesn't talk to even his friends about the outcome.
Perfect.
However, I do not think that they would ever have her in the finale. Like, that just would make no sense, because the whole thing about the finale is the suspense, and then we'd be left with zero suspense.
Right. Well, that's what we said initially. We were talking about that, and we're like, well, there's no way she's in the top 2, because for the exact reason you just said. But what if there's some crazy dramatic thing that happens? We talked to somebody that also threw out there, what if Rachel wins? And then it's even more dramatic. Like, how did she become the Bachelorette? And there's something we find out on After the Final Rose or something. So you're in the camp that you think there's no way she makes it to the top 2, don't you think would kind of add to the drama? Like, how is she in the top 2?
Of course, that would be crazy. And then you would expect that something insane went down. If she were to win, obviously, but if she were not to win, I just don't think that they would have a top 2 with no. I know this is getting it's getting all convoluted, but yeah, no. I really just think that they announced her early because they wanted to do some extra casting and they wanted it to be known that she was the Bachelorette. And I also think that they didn't want girls to get more attached to any of the other girls. Just viewers. When I say girls get attached, I think everybody loves Corinne now. And how much fun would a Corinne season be? And then everybody loves Raven. It's just she's such a girl's girl and she's very relatable. So I feel like they just didn't want fans to get too attached to anyone else and then have to make a decision at that point. I think they made their decision probably early on, and they're just like, all right, let's just announce this now so we can get some really, really great guys for her.
I mean, especially when you look back and you recall what someone like Caitlyn had to go through, where she was competing even that first night until the decision was made. What were your feelings on Rachel actually becoming the next Bachelorette? Are you excited to see her in that position?
I'm totally excited to see her in the position. I love that she's kind of like an Andi, you know, she's like a kick-ass career chick. She's super smart. She's pretty. She's everybody's favorite in the house. You can just tell that everybody gets along with her. I just really like her demeanor. I like watching her. She makes me feel good. Like she's happy and smiling and friendly all the time. So
she seemed to come in with like fresh energy too, right? Like there wasn't any gameplay going on, and we've been able to chat with a couple of folks who are friends with her as well, and she didn't have like a history with the show potentially coming in, so it was all new to her. And I think that
she didn't have a history. She never watched it.
Correct. She had no kind of like background on the show, right? Understanding that, oh wow, there's 2-on-1 dates. Oh, this could potentially happen. Those are some of the examples we were given. Like everything was new, and I think you see it come through when you watch her because she's very genuine. She's very put together and polished, and in the best way possible, right? And so that might have something to do with it.
Right. I think so. I also just really love the way that she even bonded with Corinne. Like she was like a mother figure to her, and you can just see that through the TV, that she was just like, she was always there calming her, and she's the one that Corinne would go to if she needed support, which I think was adorable.
Definitely. And I know you and Jared recently had an interview together. I know Corinne was a topic of that interview. I believe he mentioned something along the lines of it turned into the Corinne show and that he was kind of over it, right? Where do you fall on that?
Because I don't think he was over as of late, but I think like a month ago he was.
Okay, gotcha. Where do you stand on the whole Corinne thing? I mean, more so recently, she's been giving interviews this past week talking about she wants to have her own reality show. Would you tune into that? Do you feel as though that's ultimately where you see someone like a Corinne going?
Absolutely. I would 100% watch, and I want to be her best friend right now. She just says what every other girl is thinking and feeling during that process. It's like, I want sushi in a spa and like my own bed. And I completely relate to her. She's such a real girl, and she's so like unapologetically herself. So I'm super into Corinne. I would definitely watch a show all about her.
What was your take early on in the season on Corinne? What were your feelings about the Corinne and Taylor thing? Were you?
It's like so funny the way that your feelings can change about someone, because the first episode I was really annoyed by her and the fact that she was just like got the first kiss and I didn't think she deserved it. And then also on that group date where she got the rose and he touched her boobies, like I thought that was all crazy. I was so not into her then. And then just, I don't know, then you fall in love with her. As far as the Taylor thing, I was so team Corinne in that battle.
And why is that?
I thought that Taylor was a little bit reminiscent of Kelsey with me in the Badlands. And just like during our entire season, she was super condescending and belittling. And she thought that she was way above the other girls, especially Corinne.
Right. Yes, that does seem to be the case. We know like a lot of you guys are all like cliquey and hang out and stuff. Is it safe to say that Taylor is not in your clique?
Well, I haven't really met any of the other girls, the new girls.
Oh, really?
I met Alexis and Jasmine a couple days ago at Access Hollywood, and they were super awesome, and I liked them a lot. But they did tell me that Taylor got way worse of an edit than she really was in real life, and she's just not that bad.
Oh, okay. All right. So who else besides Corinne, that obviously you're a big fan of, who else were you a fan just watching the show, not meeting him in person or anything? Like who did you like? Who do you think maybe you wanted to see more of, but they went home a little earlier than you thought? Something like that.
Well, I'm a big fan of pretty much all the girls in the top four. I love Vanessa. I think she's great for him. I always say, like, I picture him with like a Catherine Zeta-Jones type, just sophisticated, smart, classy, put together, articulate, sexy, mysterious. I think she's got all of that going on. She's commanding. She puts him in his place, which is definitely something he needs. And then who else did I like from?
Yeah, like is there anyone that you were like, oh, that girl seems fun, and then she went home early or something?
Everybody thinks that Sarah seemed fun, and I forgot. I did meet Sarah, and she's super sweet, and we got along really well. She's a total girl's girl. Like, she's relatable to girls, and she's probably not the kind of girl that like stands out amongst a crowd of women. She's like, everybody wants to be her best friend, but like the guy probably will overlook her for somebody who's more.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah, we met her.
I don't say sexy. I think she is sexy, but, you know.
So you don't think she's sexy? No, I'm just kidding. No, we met Sarah. She's really sweet. She was at our live show at the Laugh Factory. Yeah, she's a really fun, pretty girl, and she seemed really sweet. We actually thought she was going to go a lot farther. Did you think she was going to go?
Everybody did. Yeah. Everybody.
Anybody else? So what do you think? Is there anyone that you watched after? I mean, you've been on the show, multiple Bachelor shows. Is there anyone that you watched and you're like, ugh, I wonder if that's, they didn't get the best edit. Is there anyone that you were kind of cringing at their edit?
Not really.
I would say someone. let me jump in there too and just say someone like a Liz and that whole beginning storyline, right? Because I think that'll be a topic in.
I kind of forgot.
Yeah. No, I mean, how did you feel about that? Were you also at Jade and Tanner's wedding?
Yes, I was, and I would like consider Liz a friend. She has been I've met her 3 times. She's the sweetest thing ever. I had a rough night in Kansas City the week before she left for The Bachelor. Actually, I had no idea that she was going on The Bachelor, and she was just so supportive and so girl power with me. I love her. She's the sweetest, and she did get screwed over a bit. I think with the history they had together, it would have been hard for her to look good, just because I think everybody's going to question, oh, why now? Why didn't she reach out to him the past 9 months?
I think, which is totally fair, right? And so we actually chatted with Liz on the podcast, and that was one of our first questions, because obviously that's what everybody wanted to know. And the thing that was quite interesting, however, is that she did. I mean, Nick even, I think, has said since that he knew or thought at least initially, hey, this is Liz. I think this is Liz getting out of the limo. And that after it had all went down, she told him point blank, hey, I'm interested in somebody else. This is just a one-time thing for now. I think you're a great guy. Like, there was no bad blood. It wasn't like they made it seem on the show as though Nick asked her for her number. She said no. And like this, it was just this weird thing. And it was way less weird the way that she described it, but certainly it makes for better TV the way that it was played out.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
No.
I just think that even being her friend and stuff, I think she had to explain better as to why she decided to go on without reaching out to him prior.
Sure. And so, Ashley, we have to ask you this too. The one criticism of Nick that I think is kind of fair is that he's playing it a little safe, right? And so, and maybe, he's been on the show so much, like he knows how it works, and he knows, or he thinks maybe like how it's going to be portrayed and everything else. And so he has that in the back of his head, right? He's not as fresh-eyed going into this experience. Do you see that as a Bachelor vet watching the show back as well?
Oh, I completely agree. I think it's very frustrating watching him sometimes be so guarded. I think that he really addressed that last week with Andi, and that was the whole point of the Andi conversation to me. Like, that's what I got out of her being there, is that he admitted, like, I've been through this before. I've been hurt. I've been blindsided. So I don't really want to blindside these girls. I don't want to lead them on when I'm not completely sure of what I'm going through right now.
Which is fair. I mean, the Andi thing, the one thing that stood out too, and I kind of hate to say this, but it's like the chemistry that him and Andi had seems to be stronger still, even as you mentioned, than the chemistry that he has with some of these remaining women. And it just is interesting, right? He seems much more guarded, I guess is the point. And so I just wonder if that's obviously because he's been through this process. He doesn't want to leave being on it for the 4th time and not engaged and everything else. And so that's got to be tough. That weighs on your conscience for sure. But I'm glad to hear that you also are seeing that as well. It's not just us.
No, totally. Right? I think like that goes back to what I was saying earlier in the podcast, is just that people have been complaining that they don't really feel that connection right now. And I think that's all because of him being so guarded and careful about how he's expressing himself. I really just think that it comes from a place of him not wanting to get hurt and him not wanting to hurt the girls.
Do you think that, I don't know if like learned a lesson is the right term, but do you think that the ABC people in the production company for The Bachelor, do you think they've maybe kind of reevaluated the idea of having somebody on their show so much? Because, like I said, I didn't see Nick on those 2 Bachelorette seasons. I saw him on Paradise season you were on, or the last one that you were also on. And I remember thinking, oh, this guy seems great, or whatever. And Ian was telling me, oh, it's like his redemption. I'm like, from what? And then, now he's The Bachelor. And that is something where if you're just around it so much that you can't, just any human being is going to have in the back of their mind every single thing they say, like, oh, are they going to edit this that way? Is that something that's going to air? So it does kind of take away a little bit from just the somewhat of the innocence that is brought to a regular season.
I can't imagine there ever being somebody who does 4 seasons again and that the audience feels as much as Nick, and who has such a growth experience on all of his prior seasons. So I don't think that we'd ever have to think about that again. That's a hard question to answer.
What about
I know from my own personal experience, like, so Nick has had 4 seasons. I have had 3. If I were now the Bachelorette, would I be super guarded? I would definitely be more careful with the things that I was saying. I could say that. I would definitely be more aware of the situations that I'm put in.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. And it's not even like you're paranoid and you're a psycho. It's just that it has to be in the back of your mind. You, even the first time we talked to you, mentioned how they just would constantly show the clips of you crying, and it makes it seem like on TV, oh, this girl Ashley cries nonstop, and you're like, I'm not crying nonstop. That's just what they're showing on TV.
Like I pretty much cried nonstop this past Paradise. But I really want to answer this question properly, and I think that, I guess you do get a little bit too careful.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you would.
Well, it's a complicated question. We don't need to solve it or anything. I want to ask you about Raven, because you're famous for being a virgin, and Raven has only been with one guy, and obviously the last episode, it's the fantasy suite and what's going to happen with that. Are you watching that feeling some sort of connection to Raven?
Sort of. I was like, thank you, God, Raven, because now my whole I'm a virgin confession seems a lot less embarrassing.
Oh, there's no reason to be embarrassed. I have an 8-month-old daughter. I hope she's a virgin until she's 50.
No, I mean, it's just the way that you have to just say it in front of all these people, and it's such a private conversation.
Right. What do you?
So that is even more intimate. I think that's even more of an intimate confession.
Right. So, what do you think? One question: what do you think is going to happen with Raven and Nick in this next episode? And also, personally, do you think it would be smart for her to open up in that way for the second time in her life in this situation?
What do I think is going to happen? I think regardless of what's going to happen, they're going to make it seem like they just had a fantastic time. And I'm sure they do, but I'm just saying, they're not going to I doubt they're going to have her come out of that fantasy suite and say they're going to be like, oh, you know what? He wasn't very impressive. I didn't get anything out of that. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But what was the second question?
The second part of the question was, what do you personally think about her, going through with that for the second time in her life in this situation?
Not that I can really speak, but I mean, after the first thing, I don't think it really matters.
Oh, that's totally virgin talk then. What are you talking about? If she's only been with one guy and that's her old boyfriend who cheated on her, that's probably got to bug her. And so it's obviously, it's still a big thing for her. It's not like if you sleep with one guy, you sleep with every guy.
She doesn't have to do what she doesn't want to do. I'm sure she wants to sleep with Nick, and that's what she's going to do.
Oh, okay. All right. Boom. Got it. Soundbite. Nice. Would you, do you think, I know you have a lot going on, and not to go back to this, and you said you've already been on 3 shows, or we know you've been on 3 shows. Would you ever be the Bachelorette if people were like, sometimes people do online campaigns and it gets really big. Remember when Betty White, people wanted her to host SNL and it became a big thing? What if everybody did that for you? Ashley, Bachelorette.
Of course. I get tweets every day about it, and it's amazing. And I'm thankful for people who enjoy watching my craziness. I would love to be, but that will never happen. Somebody said something really funny a couple weeks ago. They're like, we need an Ashley in Paradise where Ashley dates all the rejects from The Bachelorette. And I'm like, I could work with that.
That'd be a fun show.
Well, Ashley, would you return to Paradise? It's a good segue to that question.
I would definitely not be going back to Paradise this year at all. I'm like on a good trajectory as far as my career. I do not want to like be further entrenched in the Bachelor franchise right now. I say like in a couple years, if Paradise is still killing it, and like I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I'm still perpetually single, I guess I consider it in a couple years, but certainly not right now.
Paradise All-Star Edition, you know Ashley is going to be there. That's just a fact. So,
do you imagine an All-Star Edition?
That's what I'm saying. I think that could happen. That would be interesting. So, Ashley, are you dating anybody right now? What is your dating life like? I know it sounds like you've been busy.
I mean, I'm going on dates, but like there's no one in particular right now.
Okay. How, if you don't mind us asking, how have you been doing the like online thing? What kind of guys do you find reaching out to you? Is it people that know you from the show and your celebrity, or is it just normal guys?
No, I've never gone on a date with a guy who like has watched the show.
So that's a conscious decision?
No, it's not conscious. I just don't think that many single guys watch the show. I think a lot of married guys and a lot of guys who have committed relationships watch the show, but I rarely meet a single guy who watches it. And no, I mean, I haven't gone on like a Bumble or a Raya date for like a year.
Okay.
It's all been like relatively setups or meet in person type deals.
Because you're out in Los Angeles now, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be kind of challenging too. I mean, Jeff and I, that's also where we live. And sometimes the hardest thing is to find like real, quote unquote, genuine people. And you do get a lot of transplants, however, I know yourself included.
They're all transplants.
Everybody's a transplant, but people are, they have like aspirations.
Not me,
right?
guys.
Like,
not me. Go ahead.
True.
Born and raised.
This is true. Well, so we wanted to ask you this because we do have some male listeners. What kind of guys are you attracted to? I mean, we obviously know, Jared would be maybe the prototype, but is that accurate? What type of qualities are you looking for?
Jared and Wells are my prototype. Like if you combine the two of them or just either of them individually, that is my type physically and internally. I like, like a happy-go-lucky, really passionate guy who doesn't take himself too seriously, makes me feel really comfortable. Just like somebody who's really friendly and upbeat and gets along with people really well. And just somebody obviously easy to talk to.
Right. What would you do? Just like hypothetically, say you meet a guy, however you meet him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've never like seen that. You were on what? Oh, The Bachelor. I didn't know that." Or Bachelor, And then you go on a couple dates, and then you find out somehow, like from one of his friends or something, that he did know who you were. How do you handle that situation?
That would be pretty creepy. I mean, that would definitely be a red flag.
Right, but it's like going great though. Like you do like him, he's a fun guy and all that stuff, and he's really nice. But you just find out that, like from his sister or something, she's like, "Oh yeah, no, like he didn't like watch it a lot, but he knew you were on it."
No, well that's not a big deal. But like if he's a super fan and lied about it, that would be a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, I don't think you should go out with any super fans. Anyway, that's a little too creepy. Let's see. So, Bachelor in Paradise is out for you. The Bachelorette is still on the table.
I have a campaign that I'd like to start, though. That is beyond me being the Bachelorette, and way more. I'd like to be this more than the Bachelorette.
Okay.
Oh, please share. Yes.
Wells and I are trying to start a petition for us together to be the new co-host of After Paradise.
Oh. That's cool.
I would watch that. What's happening, Ashley, is right now it's on Snapchat, right? For this season with Nick. Is that accurate?
No, that's not an after show. That's
not the official. Okay, that's like a separate.
Not like After Paradise, which is like an actual talk show on ABC.
Gotcha.
Snapchat is just they watch it and then they talk about it while they're watching it. I did that a couple weeks ago.
So you're talking more so like Andi Cohen style on the E Network, sitting down, having the chats.
For After Paradise.
Absolutely. So give us the pitch. Why should people want to get excited for you and Wells?
Why Wells and I have a really good on-air chemistry. We just bounce off each other really well when we hit the record button. It's really awesome. And we both are the ones with broadcast backgrounds, and we both were together in Paradise. So I think people are a little bit interested to see our dynamic outside of Paradise. And yeah, we had the Paradise experience, which is something that Sean never had. And we really know what they're going through and suffering through when they're there. So I think we'd be able to break it down from a different perspective than we usually get.
I have a question.
I love that.
Okay, so Jared, obviously we know what's going on there. But Wells, you guys have great chemistry on air. Obviously you guys are friends. You just said him and Jared are like your prototype for, like, what is stopping a relationship there? Or you know what I mean? Like, if you guys get along great, you're attracted to each other. I mean, I can't imagine he's not attracted to you. You're an attractive person, and you really like what type of guy he is, looks wise and everything, and he's so fun. So why is this something that can't happen?
I don't know. Again, you can ask Wells, but I really do think it's probably the distance thing.
Oh, where's
he's not really into dating someone like who lives 4 hours away from him through flight.
Where is he? Is he in Nashville?
He's in Nashville, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Is he still on the radio out there?
Yes.
But if you guys got your After Paradise gig together, well, that would be a short thing, right? He wouldn't have to live out here for that.
That would be 6 weeks, but I don't know. I think if he got that gig, he'd probably end up moving out here. I don't know. I'm just speaking for Wells now.
That's more of a reason. Yeah, that's more of a reason to sell this so that you guys can spark your own little romance as well. We got your back, Ashley. We know what's going on.
I want you and Wells to be happy, okay? I want Jared to be the best man. I want it to be an awkward ceremony, you know? I want it all to play out. So you guys are
Team Wells in this? This is so funny.
Well, we just switched because you said Jared is out.
The Jared thing's been going on for too long. Now we gotta focus our energies on someone else. I think Wells is a great person to shift that energy over to. But I do want to ask you this, Ashley, as well. Getting back to some predictions for this next week. We chat about Vanessa briefly, but where do you ultimately see someone like a Vanessa uprooting her life and moving to Los Angeles, or vice versa for that matter, Nick, and going to, I believe she's in Montreal?
There's a clip out there, and that ABC is putting out on Twitter and stuff about this conversation that they have. And Nick is saying that he's like a proud American who wants to stay in America. And I really like what he says. And then Vanessa says, well, I'm a proud Canadian, so I want to stay in Canada. And, ow, this is like this is going to be a harsh situation to figure out. I think that she can find a job anywhere. Like, I don't think that's what's keeping her there. I think her family is definitely a big component. What if they move somewhere? Like, Montreal is 4 hours outside the U.S. border? What if they live somewhere around there? So they're driving distance. They can go see him once a month.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Niagara Falls or something, right? They could just live on the Maid of the Mist, that boat that just patrols the border or whatever.
That is if they end up together. And what is that a big issue? Is the Canada thing? Is Raven, I guess, would move to L.A. But Nick's definitely not moving to Arkansas.
Right. Raven, does she live in Arkansas? Ian and I keep talking about this. Does she live in Hoxie? Because I've said that before when Ian and I were just talking on a recap. I said, there's no way Nick's moving to Hoxie, Arkansas. And then Ian was like, I don't think she lives there. I don't think she's lived there for a while. Is she in Nashville?
No, I think she lives there. She has her store in Arkansas. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she does have that store. So she does live there. So that's not going to happen. I don't see Nick with his modeling thing and his 4 times being on these TV shows going, and it all ends in Hoxie.
I don't think that I think she'd have no problem moving.
Right. So, okay.
In that case. Yeah, in that case. And then we have
she
to
can go to the store anywhere she wants if that's what she wants to continue to do.
Totally. Well, my point was simply that I believe she even mentioned that she ended up moving back to Hoxie when her dad came down with his condition.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So and I don't know, maybe they skipped over where she was prior to that. I would assume maybe at college or whatever she was doing. So who knows? And then
law school. She was about to go to law school, and then she decided when her dad was not well to postpone that.
Yeah, see, together we got this. We're piecing this together. And then someone like a Rachel, do you have any predictions on what might go down in the fantasy suite situation between her and Nick?
What might go down with Rachel? I don't think he's going to sleep with her.
Do not.
This is just a guess because I just don't. I think he probably knows, and he just doesn't. I just think knowing Nick and his past with Andi and Caitlin and how much the whole fantasy suite and sleeping with each other, it's a whole debacle. And I don't think he wants to tell like his future fiance that like I slept with multiple people when I knew it was you or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, they did have that whole thing with Andi where I feel like they purposely did that so Andi gives him the female go-ahead to sleep with all of them. She's like, have fun. Everyone's an adult. If they want to do it, do it. I thought that was definitely put on TV so everyone goes, oh, well, a woman said it's okay. So now we can feel free to watch Nick do whatever he wants in these fantasy suites. But
well, I don't know. I think the fantasy suite is a crazy thing because we've started to think it's the norm. But it's like bizarre that the same week that you propose, like legit within 7 days of you proposing to somebody that you're saying that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, you're sleeping with 2 other people. I don't know if I'd be able to get over that.
Right. That'd be a tough one to get over. Also, this is totally off topic. If you ever fall on hard times with your career, you're more than welcome to babysit my daughter and tell her all about what it's like to be a virgin and the virtues of being a virgin and not sleeping around. I need you or someone like you to babysit my daughter.
Oh my gosh, Billy Bush told me the exact same thing when I was on Access Hollywood for the first time.
Billy Bush.
So funny, yes.
Did he talk about when he was on the Access Hollywood bus with our now president?
No, he did not. This was about a year and some before that came out.
Oh, all right. You didn't like when you were mic'd up when you were talking to him and you didn't know they were filming? Were you like, yeah, I just like to grab guys by the penis. Sometimes just grab them by the penis, you know? You didn't say that?
No, we did not bring up anything like that.
Okay. What do you think? Any women tell all predictions? Do you have any? Do you think any fireworks going to go down there? Do you think the Taylor Corinne thing is going to be the main focus?
Mm-hmm. The Taylor Corinne thing is definitely going to be the focus. And then I'm sure we'll hear a little bit from Liz. And then the girls will probably get on Corinne a little bit for her being, a time stealer with Nick, which is ridiculous. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of tease.
I have to give Nick this. He has really been great and respectable for all the girls. He hasn't they can't get him on anything. Like, what could they possibly have a problem with him?
I mean, he's been playing that game very well, right? It's like, it's not all criticism with Nick when we say something like he knows how it works and he's been here before. It's like, that's not necessarily a criticism, but it doesn't make for entertaining TV, right?
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this, Ashley. Do you think, say during the Women Tell All, say somebody brings up something that was never aired, like, people didn't see this, but Nick, you blah, 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 like tries to attack Nick. Would they even air that from the Women Tell All? They wouldn't, right?
No. Women Tell All is about 4 hours long. You tape it for about 4 hours. And they would never add that in there.
Right, because it was never on the show, so why would they want someone to throw a kink in the whole show, right?
Well, I mean, I was very, very tempted to do that on After Paradise this season when I was sitting on the couch with Kayla and Jared. I was like, this is live TV. I could really expose anything that I want to right now.
Yep.
But then it was like, you don't know what they're going to do to you, so just be on your best behavior.
Well, you're on the Angie podcast. You're safe here. There's a safe space. I want you to feel comfortable. What did you want to say about Kayla?
Oh, no, I can't talk about it. I'm still actually, there are secrets that I have to take to my grave, unfortunately.
Okay, fine.
I know, that's damn contract, it allows you to do things after the show, I have one more day left of my contract until I can do anything without approval.
One more day, like literally tomorrow?
I do believe the 5th is the day. Yes.
We're looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
No, guys. The thing is, I used to think that meant that I could expose all secrets come tomorrow, but I recently had a talk with Ali Fedotowsky, who told me that the ins and outs of the show and how it's made are actually secrets that I have to bring to my grave.
So, but Ashley, have you watched the show like Unreal?
Yes.
Would you say that there's accuracy there?
There's certainly an amount of accuracy. Yes,
well, somebody is stuttering, so we'll take that as a yes.
No, there's an amount. There's similarities, yes, but that show's a bit nutty.
It's a stretch. So you're saying that's just
it's an extreme exaggeration.
Guys, I found a great loophole for this. Take the stuff to the grave. All right, here's what you do. A lot of people buy their plots before they die, right? So they have them so their kids and stuff don't worry about it. You buy your grave, then you take us there. We do a podcast from your grave. You know, you might not be in it for another 60 years or something, but you're at your grave. You took it to your grave.
That's hysterical.
It's just an idea, guys. It's just a legal loophole I think I figured out.
That is amazing. I consider it.
Well, so Ashley, how do people like Courtney Robertson, how do they get an opportunity to write these tell-all books if you guys are so limited to what you can share?
The thing is, I've read Andi's book, Courtney's book, and Sean's book. And while they do talk a bit about like how it's done, it's not really salacious. It's really all about the person that they ended up with. You know, like Courtney's is all about like poo-pooing Ben. Like, and then same with Andi's. It has very little to do with the show itself and like the ins and outs.
Gotcha. So it is truly that kind of behind the scenes action that is the off limit conversation. We don't want to get you in trouble.
So I talk to you guys about like certain conversations that are harmless that I had with Jared, you know, that didn't make it the cut, but storyline wise, exactly. Because you even came out with the Kayla stuff on like your Snapchat at the time when it was going down, just to clarify a little bit, because you were coming under some pretty unfair fire, right? I mean, like people didn't know the whole story, and a lot of your portrayal was like, this is Ashley being Ashley, when in reality you were really just having his back. And so thank you for watching all that.
I'm gonna come out and say that. I'm gonna say that. I
certainly got in trouble for it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I got a phone call that week.
Well, and we're talking about next week's episode. We're talking a little bit about predictions here. And you mentioned a little bit of what happens behind the scenes, but is there anything in terms of the Women Tell All that I guess Bachelor Nation would be interested to learn about in terms of the process or how it all goes down?
Other than the fact that it's freezing, the chairs that you sit in are very uncomfortable for 4 hours. Your butt really hurts. You get there like an hour before, you hang out with your friends, you have a little drinky, and that's basically it. I heard that the girls get really super drunk this season. Like they're just really plastered. That's what I heard from Jasmine and Alexis.
We got that to look forward to at least.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to just go back real quick. We're going to get you out of here. We always like having you on. Before we wrap, going back to your real dating life, when you say you go on dates and stuff, you don't have to give any names or anything, but just so our listeners know, you know, so you can meet some super fans that can disguise it and pretend they've never heard of you and then approach you the best way possible. The guy, like the last date you went on, what does this person do? Is he a fireman? Is he an actor? What's he do?
He was a medical sales rep.
Okay. And how did you meet this person? In person?
I met somebody who was like, I want you to meet my friend so-and-so. He's like a really good stand-up guy.
Okay. And do you have any funny messages from guys trying to get at you that you've gotten online?
The guys really get way more of that than the girls. If I went into the inbox of my Instagram, I'm sure I could come up with some, but I don't ever look at my inbox unless you know how it'll go to the secret inbox if you don't follow them.
Right.
So I never go look at the secret inbox.
Secret inbox does get kind of weird.
Yeah. I can't tell you this. For the twin show, we did some dating thing. And now this guy who I went and I like talked to on the show, is trying to, and I'm like, no, sir.
he's all in your secret inbox.
Yes, he's got my email.
All up in that inbox. It's God, we've heard some really funny answers to that question. We were talking to Jasmine Lorimer, the Bachelorette from Canada, and she said that there's a guy from French Canada who sends her the same photo like once a week, I think, of like he's holding the phone up just of like his face or body. It's like, what is going on, man? There's some weird stuff out there. Have you had any pushback, Ashley? Because last time we chatted with you, I believe, was when Paradise was going on. Once Paradise aired, did you have any interesting fan interactions? What did you feel good about the portrayal and how everything played out with your Paradise appearance this last time?
No, of course not.
I mean, that's a fair, yeah.
Paradise was the worst this season, but I mean, everything is timely. You know, you get some hate for a while during the airing of the show, and then nobody remembers it a month later, and I never ever get any mean comments now.
That's good to lose.
That's good to hear. The mean comments are shitty. We don't like that. We don't like negative people. Real quick before we get out of here,
well, we need to realize that what they're seeing is just like only one storyline, when you have to think about, like in real life, how there's always certain different sides to the story. And well, this time,
yeah. Well, I think a lot of people watching TV in general do not understand editing, and I don't think they understand that. Like I told Ian, when I was on the show Disaster Date for multiple seasons on MTV, where, you know, they're just prank dates, hidden camera show, prank show. And the dates, I told Ian, just to give him an idea of editing, I was like, the dates, if they didn't run away, like our goal is always to get them to run, but if they didn't run, the dates would last at the most 1 hour. The dates on TV were like 6 minutes long. Yeah. So everyone watching was always like, why is this girl putting up with this crazy psycho guy? It's like, we're editing out all the stuff where I acted normal and got the girl to like me, and then like slowly did all this stuff. So I said, can you imagine being filmed almost 24/7, and then they edit that into like, you know, a 2-hour episode where it's, you know, a bunch of commercials. It's not even 2 hours. I go, we're missing almost everything.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you guys get, well, of Paradise, you get what is it, like 2 hours and 20 minutes a week. And the actual amount of filming that went into that week is whatever 24 times 4 is.
Right. And like, there's no one that can do that math. So whatever. Like, that's like a billion hours. It's like 1 billion or 2 billion hours. I just want, okay, so before we get out of here, this is the last thing. I just wanted to shout out your parents, because you told us that your parents like our show, right?
Yes. So funny. My parents were like, we listened to you on the podcast, and we're like, why can't you be like that at home? My parents like say that even like on Paradise. They're like, you're so funny on TV. Why can't you be funny at home? Where I'm like, whenever I'm home, I'm like my worst self, because you know how like that's where you can be just like, you're just meanest, sloppiest, I'm letting everything out on you self.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever.
No? Well, hey, that's why we love the parents.
If they edited down all the very best moments of when you're home, you'd be hilarious.
You're right.
Like, Mom and Dad, did you take these 3 days I was here and just condense it into 20 minutes? How awesome was I?
Wait, sorry, I have to work my little doggy here being loud. 1 sec.
That's all right. Good time to shout out Puppies Make Me Happy.
Puppies Make Me Happy. What's up? 20% off. EANDG.
I'm on a podcast. Can you like put them quiet? Want to be quiet for a sec? Okay. Continue.
We love the dogs. Well, we're almost done here too. I wanted to ask you, Ashley, I noticed that you are also now podcasting too. So you have a podcast called the I Don't Get It podcast. I wanted to give you a chance to discuss what you guys are chatting about and what you're doing on there.
Okay, the I Don't Get It podcast is super fun because all we do is talk about boys and what we don't get about them. But that's not it. Like, we've also talked about makeup shaming. We've talked about embarrassing moments. We have talked about like childhood and how weird that is, and puberty and all that good stuff. And then this week I am taping an episode with Caitlin and Sean and Jade and Tanner about, I don't get how if you're in a relationship where you live together or just serious enough that you're in each other's apartments all the time, how do you poop and fart? And do you do it in front of each other? Are you open about this?
I mean, Jeff, do you want to take the answer here? Because we can provide our answers if you want.
What the question is?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback here.
Do we poop and fart in front of our spouses?
Yes.
Well, I happen to know that my friend Ian does not fart in front of his spouse because in his past relationship, he said he did fart in front of his girlfriend, and he said it really ruins the vibe. My wife
it ruins not the vibe, like the romance. Keep some of the romance alive, right? That's my thing, personally. I know, Jeff, you differ here.
Well, no, Ian. Actually, I have a medical condition where I do not produce gas, so I do not burp or fart. I'm kind of an immaculate human being. And,
wait, joking me?
And my wife is just an angel who also does not burp or fart ever. So.
Oh, okay. So both of you are just like insane. Okay.
No, I will say this. I'm not going to get into detail because I know my wife probably won't want me to. But after we had our kid, it's like, whatever, I'm tired. And you just kind of, it's like sleep deprivation all the time. So it's not a big deal. But it's also not like my wife is walking around farting. Like my wife barely ever farts ever. One time, a long time ago, when I used to live with my brother, when I first started dating Christy, I remember, now she's really gonna hate me, but this is just a funny story, and it's not like she's gross or anything. We're all we're talking in our condo, and I think my brother like just met her, and then like we just heard a fart, and me and my brother and everyone just stopped, and Christy was so embarrassed, and then my brother goes, "Did you just fart?" And I was like, "Did you just fart?" And then Christy's like, "No." And it's like, there's only 3 of us in here. There's no dogs or anything. Clearly that was you. And then she was really embarrassed about it. So
that is embarrassing.
My wife I'd known Christy for 5-6 years. And I probably heard her fart out loud 3 or 4 times. Now she puts up with a lot though, but hers are always on accident. It's like not. Well, now I just said way more than I said I was going to say.
No, this is what we like on the I Don't Get It podcast. We're brutally honest, and we just let everything, we air it all out.
All about that. You got to keep it real.
I have a feeling that Caitlin and Sean probably fart and poop in front of each other all the time. Well, do you guys will you hide a poop though? Will you will you go in the shower and then poop? Or is that just something that it happens?
Did you just ask if we take a poop in the shower?
No.
Or we hide a poop? I poop in a bag and I bury it in the backyard. It's hidden.
No, I mean
the sound, Jeff.
Yes. When you go poop and then you take a shower, you get all smelly, you get the body wash going and the shampoo, so it masks it, and then nobody ever knows that you went.
Oh, well, I definitely have bathroom spray, and we have fans in the bathrooms. All the bathrooms in my house, we have fans, so.
It's obvious, though.
Yeah, I'm not like an animal. I'm not like. What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not making jokes? I have rooms. I have the air freshener, and we have fans like not ceiling fans, like circular fans, like the air vents or whatever that you can turn on in every bathroom in my house. I don't go to the bathroom and then go, "Hey, babe, come in here. You got to smell this." Like, what are you talking about, Ian? This is a good one. Let it sink in.
Ashley's question was do you put on some noise or some distractions? You're saying that it's so loud in your. Okay, it's like being like in an airplane or something. Okay,
well, that's good.
That's good for you,
my fan's not that loud. Are you talking about masking the sound?
No, all of it, just all of it. I like the way that you guys have thorough answers for this, though. It'll make a great podcast. I'm taping it later.
I could talk about this all day.
Definitely.
I try and go. There's 3 levels in my play, so if I can, I try not to. If I have to do something like that, I try not to do it on the same level as my wife.
Okay,
out of respect.
there you go.
It's very respectful.
It's hard for me, since I have a 1-bedroom apartment, it all just happens in the same matter of square feet.
That is something when we first got married. I just had my condo, and it was a 1-bedroom, and that's a brutal living situation when you're with someone else because you can come home from a big meal and both people have to go to the bathroom. And
totally.
Then you just end up hating the other person because obviously I would always let her go first because she's a woman, but that's a bad situation.
True gentleman. I mean, it could turn into an Along Came Polly, Ben Stiller situation if you've seen that movie. That's the exact example of what you do not want to have happen, right? So it can go a lot of different directions.
That is one of the funniest movie moments, though.
I love that scene. It's so funny. So that's awesome. I'm really glad you got a chance to chat about that, Ashley. And we had a great time talking with you again. So thank you so much for making time to join the show.
Of course. So fun. Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime.
Later. Bye.
Hey guys, one last thing. On Instagram, make sure to check out and follow our friends at Bachelor_Nation, who we've teamed up with along with our sponsors to run giveaways and upcoming promotions, which include Skype dates with previous contestants. Thanks so much for listening. Today's episode of the E&G podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine Bachelor and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to Animal Rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Vale are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
I'm killing it.